Hey guys, this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not break the law. Hey Justin, welcome to the Growers MBA podcast. Justin, you're from Black Dog LED. I'm really excited to have you on here. Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself? What's your role at Black Dog LED?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, man. Excited to chat. So here at Black Dog, I am the wholesale retail sales manager. And then, we wear a lot of hats here. We all kind of do a lot of stuff. I also kind of co-head our R&D space. So when we grow, we test our lights in different settings. We're growing hemp and stuff here in Colorado. And then I also do a lot of, if not all of our video production and post-production and stuff like that. So wear a lot of hats, but we love it. We stay busy and we just keep growing.
That's cool. I'm sure you learn a lot. I mean, it's probably a pretty dynamic role to have at the company. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty fun job. So real quick, Justin, why don't you tell me a bit about your history in the cannabis industry and kind of what brought you to Black Dog to get started there?
Sure. Yeah. So I got my start, about 12 years ago, 11-ish years ago. I just started growing backyard type of stuff. I'd throw some seeds in a pot, would, grow all summer. Just with those light cycles, it just took forever. I didn't really know what I was doing. Did that for a couple years in the backyard, really honed that in. And then in Fort Collins, a friend of a friend said, hey, I know you like to grow. There's an opening at this commercial facility in northern Colorado. And I'm like, hey, okay, let's chat. And we all jived. And so I worked my way up from just kind of entry level there to the cultivation supervisor. And it was a tier 2 to tier 3 facility, so up to 6,000 plants. And I ran a team of awesome growers there. All those guys and girls are great. I got my chops really cultivating quite a bit of plants, really understood, on a fundamental level how cannabis should be dealt. And, like I said, learned a lot, grew a lot, like I said, 6,000 plant facility. And then from there, leaving that place, I was in sales a little bit with Solar City Tesla, and so I had some sales chops. I had this cultivation chops, and my background is video and film production. That's actually what I went to college for. And so I just fell into the spot of meeting Black Dog. They were looking for one person to do either one of those, but I happened to be able to do all three, and it was just a good fit. And so got set up with Black Dog, and that was almost 3 years ago, close to 3 years ago now, which was amazing. And we just hit the ground running. We do a lot of cultivation in our R&D space. We just got our alien hydroponic system set up front. We are just burning the candle on both ends. So now I'm here running the wholesale program, retail sales, creating content in our studio. We've got a really cool production studio. And yeah, it's great, and I look forward to just the years to come.
It sounds like Black Dog got pretty lucky by finding you, just a guy who's kind of multi-talented. I know as an entrepreneur, if you find someone that can fill multiple roles, that's always an awesome opportunity that comes along.
Yeah, what's pretty neat actually about that is we all have multiple skills and multiple facets here, so it's kind of cool to learn from each other, like where one doesn't fill in, the other one does, and we work really well together. And you wouldn't know that we're the size company we are with how much we put out and what we can do. So it's pretty impressive to work with everybody here, to be honest.
Cool. So I wanted to touch on a few things you said there. You said that back when you were starting, you didn't really know what you were doing when it came to growing.
Yeah.
And so can you give the audience some idea of what mistakes you were making back then, kind of what your biggest mistakes were, what you wish you knew at the very beginning?
Yeah, that's a good question. Off the bat, I wish I would have known, honestly, how to initially propagate a plant. So I just Googled how to plant a seed, how to germinate, and I did all that, but I put it in a giant 20-gallon pot. I wish I would have known not to do that, incrementally put it in a little guy and then work your way up to 1 gallon and et cetera to get that root development. Boy, I wish I would have known that. I would have had a lot more ease understanding some of the stuff. Secondarily, I wish I would have known fundamental techniques like topping and stuff like that. And honestly, I probably wish I would have known that there was an even practical way to grow indoors, because in my head I'm thinking indoor growing back then. I'm like, you need a whole setup, you need a big this and that. I could have done it with one light in a little tent. Had I known that, I probably would have started indoor and not outdoor and taken all summer and gotten hailed on twice in both ends of the year. But that was part of cultivation. That's how you learn. But I would have loved to have some of the really simple basics just in my head at the time.
Yeah, well, it sounds like everyone that I've talked to, a lot of our customers that we talk to, a lot of them, they do mess up on their first grow. It seems like it's a pretty common thing. So if you're listening to this, don't feel too bad. Even guys like Justin messed up on their first grow. Yeah, so I want to ask, let's talk about Black Dog LED a little bit. What's the history there? How long have you guys been around? Where'd you guys get started?
Yeah. So Black Dog was founded in 2010. This guy, Corey, And really how it got started was this guy Corey and his friends were growers, and they noticed that there wasn't a lot of lights on the market that were complete spectrum or full true spectrum, and they realized there was kind of a gap there, and rather than trying to scour and try to find it, they decided to make their own light. And that's kind of how it got started. And from there, just like anything, just like learning how to grow, you learn from your mistakes, you learn from what worked and what didn't. Over time, Corey and then Noah and Kevin, they developed the Phytomax light. And so it really just came from a recognition that there's a gap in the industry. There's no true full spectrum. There's no lights with UV diodes. And so that was a big step. And from there, Black Dog was born in that true full spectrum or complete spectrum realm. And so from there, yeah, like I said, just Phytomax hit the ground, was great. The Phytogenesis spectrum exploded onto the market, and then it went to Phytomax 2, 3, and now we're on the Phytomax 4.
Awesome. And real quick, I want to touch on some stuff that you said there. You said that you guys started off being a true full spectrum with UV diodes. And can you tell me a little bit about why that's important and why somebody should be looking for a quote-unquote true full spectrum light?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So I guess we could start kind of from the beginning. I know that back in the day there was this, people would steal like high pressure sodium bulbs, like I'm talking 70s, 80s type of stuff. Home growers back then would steal bulbs from street lights and all kinds of stuff to grow, and they recognized like, hey, this is a great way to grow indoor. Over time, people realized that those high pressure sodiums with those red spikes really cause stretching, and yeah, you got good flower, but it wasn't really good for veg. And then over time, people realized, blue light was important for veg to really get that going. And long story short, Black Dog realized a complete spectrum is what you want, not just I'm going to have a UV light and then I'm going to tweak it to infrared when it's ready. It's actually having that perfect ratio the entire life cycle of the plant from clones all the way to flower. And so UV is important for a number of reasons. It'll encourage that shorter internodal spacing, denser, bushier plants. So if you're growing indoors, you want short, dense, bushy plants. You don't want crazy, explosive growth that you can't handle. Secondarily, that UV, it strengthens the cell walls, so it's just a stronger, healthier plant, more resistant to pests and pathogens. And then, honestly, at the end of its life, the plant will react to UV in terms of creating a sunscreen, UV protectant for itself, and that's where the trichomes and you get a lot of that stickiness, and that THC is actually a reaction to the UV, the plant's reaction rather to the UV. So you want UV for a number of reasons, but mainly plant health, quality, flavor, robustness, density, and all that. And it's common for a lot of lights out there that are actually white light to claim UV, and that's why we say true full spectrum or true complete spectrum is probably a better way to say it, because they're white light. Yes, they have a little bit of blue in there, but it may bleed a little into that UV spectrum a little maybe, but they don't have UV diodes, so they can't really claim to have the same type of UV that we do, and our customers around the world really see the difference when you switch to giving your plant true UV its whole life, and it's about 3% UV just like they'd get outside, so the plants really respond well to that.
Hey guys, quick interruption here. I just want to let you know that every single product mentioned on this episode is available for sale at greenthumbdepot.com. We love hearing from growers just like you. So if you mention that you heard about us on this episode, we might even be able to throw in a bit of a discount. You can shoot me a personal email at james@greenthumbdepot.com or give us a call at 833-416-0375. We have the best prices on the internet and the best customer service. Not to mention, we offer free shipping across the continental U.S. with no sales tax outside of Nevada. All right, let's get back to the episode. Very interesting. No, that's awesome. That's very, very interesting. So it sounds like for me, what I'm hearing is, number one, for the full spectrum, it's just a bit more convenient as well, right? You don't have to constantly be adjusting things and switching lights out maybe. So more convenient, healthier plants, and probably just an easier time taking care of it, because you don't have to worry about potentially losing plants to infection, I guess you could say, or
powdery mildew and botrytis and pests and pathogens, and that also that UV really helps towards preventing a lot of that mold and stuff like that too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen those UV disinfectant lights that you can use on your hands and stuff. So I assume it's kind of the same principle.
Yeah, and one thing to note, sometimes we will get asked like, oh, well, UV kills stuff. Why should we use your light? You have UV in your light. That's not good. Yes, it's UV, but there's UVA, B, and C. UVC is actually the disinfectant. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Our lights are UVA, and which is completely safe to work under and to be around.
Cool. Really quick before we jump into your guys' product line, I do want to ask you a little bit about, because your guys' products, they are a bit of an investment, especially as you go up to the higher wattages. What type of return or warranty and policy do you guys have on these lights?
Yeah, that's a good question. So just basic, we have an awesome 5-year warranty. As Joe, our commercial consultant, likes to say, bumper to bumper, 5-year warranty. And on top of that, we've got a 90-day return policy. So if you end up using it and for whatever reason you either have an issue or you're just not satisfied or whatever that could be, we do have that 90-day return policy. Yeah, on top of that 5-year warranty. And then was there another one on top of that? Another question you had on top of that?
Oh, no. Yeah, so 5-year warranty, 90-day return policy. So it sounds like if you purchase one of your Black Dog LED lights and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, they're going to be well taken care of.
Yeah, 100%. And we, within that 90-day policy, I can't think of one person that's actually wanted to return. And to your point about being a bit of an investment, it is true, and we are aware that we're not on the lower end of pricing in terms of cultivation LEDs, but that's kind of by design. We are intentionally putting ourselves in a position to have the highest quality light possible, and that comes with a lot of things. Everything in our light is top tier materials. We're not cutting any corners, and it's when you start cutting corners when you start to say, hey, that's a 500 watt light for $200. And like, yes, it is 500 watts for $200, but it's not the same efficiency, output, spectrum, materials, build quality. First of all, from the screws to the UV diodes, everything is top quality. I mean, you'll notice the grates, everything. We don't cut any corners. And then I would say our customer service is arguably unmatched, designed and built here in Colorado. So that's another great reason just to go with Black Dog. But if you reach out to us, call us, email, chat on the website, we're responding pretty quick, and we're all growers here, and so a lot of that value actually is support. So you buy a Black Dog light, but you're getting an incredible amount of support in the back end. If you ever have a question, you're not sure how to use it, you call us right away, we answer. We're all here in Colorado. We're not in a different country that you have to be put on hold and this and that. It's pretty direct. So between the materials and the longevity, we have our oldest lights prior to the Phytomax series still in the field, 12 years old, older than that even, still being used. So it's a testament to that build quality and to the longevity of the lights and all that. So it's quite a bit that you get with that light.
12 years is very impressive for sure. And one thing I do want to comment on, because we've worked with you guys via Alien and Black Dog LED, you guys do have amazing customer service. Justin, you have always been so fast to respond to us, any questions we have. A lot of times we forward questions from customers to you guys just to get any clarity. And yeah, absolutely, Justin and the team over at Black Dog LED are super fast, super helpful. Even if you've got a potentially quote unquote dumb question, they are there to help. So yeah, I mean, they've been super helpful for us and my team as well. So, and also,
we appreciate it.
One thing I want to comment on as well that maybe not a lot of people know is you guys have a pretty awesome rebate system for your lights.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys purchase through us at greenthumbdepot.com, we have the information on the actual product pages, which we'll link down below. Depending on which light it is, there's some pretty decent rebates for after purchase. So and I think that's just a really awesome thing that you guys do to help out companies like myself.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate that. Because we're growers, we pride ourselves on being at the forefront of the cultivation community. We're always talking about cultivation. We're always talking to grow shops and hydro shops and online resellers and like you guys specifically, and we really wanted a way to encourage people to go through the community that's building instead of just going to Amazon, you buy a light. Like, no, go to people who are a resource, who have a lot to offer, not just a light. You can buy all sorts of supplies from them, whether it's online or your local hydro shop, and it's just a way to keep that conversation going within the community. And we're like, hey, how can we scratch everyone's back? We thought this would be a great way to, give a rebate. As long as they go through you, they'll get some cash back from us. So we just thought, hey.
Hear that, guys? So make sure you purchase through us when you're buying your Black Dog LED lights. We'll hook you up. So, that's at greenthumbdepot.com. I'll link it right here. But all right, so I want to talk about your guys' actual lights. I mean, the main difference between most of them is the watts. So maybe we can break it up because you guys have, let's see, one, two, three, it looks like about 7 different lights: the 125, the 250, the 500, 750, 1000, 1250, and 1500. So at what point should someone be looking at the 125, the 500, all the way up to the 1500? Like what type of grower should be considering these types of lights? In what scenarios?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So we'll start off with the little guy, the small one. Our 125 watt light is ideal for seedlings and clones and stuff like that. However, if you're in like a 2x2 space and you're going to get close to 700 ppfd, which is a decent amount of light even to flowers. So all our lights can be used for anything. They're dimmable. Even the 1500 watt, if you really had a situation where you had that 1500 watt up there, you could dim it down and still be able to get clones as long as you had decent distance. But the 125 watt, in my opinion, is great for seedlings, clones, early veg, or just a really, really tight, small space, and you have nowhere else to grow. The next level up, our 250 watt, is very similar. All these lights are similar use case. It just depends on your square footage and your grow size and stuff. But I would say your 500, your 250 watt up to our 8S, the 500, is really good for that like middle of the road / early grower who's like, hey, I've been growing a little bit under HPS. I'm ready to go LED, but I'm not like a master by any means. And I think that 250 watt, 500 watt is great. If you got like a 3x3 or something like that, perfect. And then if you're like, okay, I'm a pretty badass home grower, I've got 4x4, 5x5, and I really want to start to step it up. I personally love the 12S, the 750 watt, the Phytomax 4 12S. That's my personal favorite, just because it's the perfect Goldilocks zone for even a 4x4, let's say, which a lot of people, after talking to a lot of home growers, most people are growing in 4x4, 5x5s, I've noticed at home. That 750 watt is kind of the best. That's like if you wanted to recreate a mini commercial setup at home, that 750 is just butter. And then up from there are 3 large housings, which we usually kind of lean towards people using in a commercial setting. The 16 is the 1000 watt. It's no joke. From the Phytomax 2 to the Phytomax 4, there's probably 45 and some change percent increase in efficiency. So you're getting 45% more photons per watt. It's a pretty staggering difference when you put a PM2 1000 next to a PM4 1000. So it's a big jump up. If you've got 10-foot ceilings, awesome. Again, you could put it in a 5x5 and dim. And then the next level up from there is the 20S, or 1250 watt, which same thing, great commercial light. You can use it at home. You got to know what you're doing, in my opinion. We have seen people kind of bite off more than they can chew, but fortunately, they just give us a call, and we kind of walk them through how to correct it and not lose all their hair like me. This is by choice. But and then we've got our 1500 watt, which is our big daddy, which is really what we recommend for commercial use. One thing to say about our philosophy of growers and cultivators, we really don't want to sell you the most biggest, baddest, expensive light. We want to sell you the right light for your space so you're successful. So people will come to us all the time and say, hey, I want 1500 watts. I got a 3x3 in my garage. And say, man, 3x3, you're not going to want this light. And we're selling ourselves short by not getting that sale, but we're creating a long-term customer, a long-term relationship with this person. And so we really want them to be successful. So we really push hard on getting the right light for your size. So if you're not sure, reach out to Green Thumb Depot and ask them, what's the best light. And you can reach out to us, but they're a great resource too. And it's just about getting the right light for your space. And so all great options. You could put any light in almost any situation and make it work, but dial it in. That's our philosophy.
Got it. And I totally get it. If you're just getting into the space, you're like, man, I want the strongest light. Like I want to grow the best. I want to grow the best stuff, the best light possible, but it may not be the best situation for you. I think it's awesome that you guys are so honest about, hey, maybe slow down a little bit, take it slowly, especially if this is your first grow. Make sure you got everything under control first and take it slowly. So I think that's really good advice. So those are some awesome answers, and I mean, you really broke it down for us in terms of which one is which. Sounds like if you're a home grower, the 750 is, as you said, the perfect one. So yeah. So that pretty much covers, I want to talk about the brand and your guys' products and stuff, but I'd love to pick your brain a little bit about the industry, kind of what you've seen, differences, and any advice you could potentially give. So I've got a few questions in regards to that. So, as an industry veteran, you've been in for ages. How have you seen the industry change? You mentioned earlier that people used to steal street lamps or street lights. So it's obviously things have changed quite a bit. So what have you seen change?
Yeah, it really has come a long way. Just from my time researching it. So when I started cultivating at the commercial grow, and this is 7 years ago now, I would say HPS was still the leader. There was fringe LED, there was a lot of that spectrum manipulation stuff where there's kind of a gimmick of, hey, you're going to buy this light that's all red just for this, and then when you're done you switch this light out and do that, or you have the knobs and all that, and that's hard to get the best results out of, and people will soon realize hey, I can get better results by having a complete solid steady spectrum. The plants don't want their hormones thrown around and stuff. So HPS, to the early days of this whole spectrum thing, it's really come a long way. We're the early dogs of UV and complete spectrum, but now that LEDs are popular and white LEDs are all the rage, and we're starting to see a lot of these manufacturers start to play in that UV diode world. And I'll be honest, because we've been doing this for so long, they're going to encounter some headaches and hurdles that we did, and Godspeed. But we're ahead of the curve. That's kind of where it's going to right now, is people are realizing, hey, white LEDs aren't just the only answer. It is complete spectrum, and so it's slow. That's kind of where it's going. So it came from street lamps to wild spectrum to white light. Now apparently they're coming around to what we've known a long time, that the complete spectrum is the way to go. So it's interesting to see where people are going right now.
Cool. And what advice, let's say I'm coming into the space, I know we talked a little bit about it, but do you have any sort of unique advice, anything that maybe people may not think about too much when they're coming into the space? What advice would you give to somebody who's just getting started? They've just done their first home grow and they're like, all right, I want to start selling this. I want to become a licensed grower. Do you have any advice for someone like that?
Yeah. Obviously it depends on the state that you're in. My first solid piece of advice is know the laws and understand your laws in your area, in and out, and have that in the back of your head, back pocket, because that's going to save you, because you'll avoid some roadblocks and hurdles if you're doing it the right way, and if you're able to, say you're ready to submit some paperwork or submit some evidence or some proof of something, and make sure you have your ducks in a row, make sure you've been compliant. In Colorado, having worked in a commercial grow and helped run one for 3.5 years, I know that compliance is number one in Colorado. You can get dinged pretty wild fines and shut down for small stuff. So I'd say know your laws, make sure you're compliant, and then have something set up and ready to go. Be prepared, because if you get the green light and you're ahead of the curve, if you have the best grow materials, you have the best light, you have the best genetics, solid nutrients, and you can really hit the ground running. And so I would say just be prepared, have things ready, because that's what I've seen. A lot of people, or I've seen a handful of grows and growers not be successful because they thought they were like, oh, I'm a badass grower, I'm going to start doing this, but then, oh man, I don't have any of this stuff ready. I don't have any of the paperwork. I didn't know I was growing too much, and now they won't let me grow because I'm growing too much, and it's illegal, and it's all kinds of wacky stuff. So just make sure you know the water you're stepping into, and then reach out to Green Thumb Depot and get the best materials you can, really.
Cool. And yeah, that just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's really tempting to get excited, buy the most expensive stuff, and just jump in, but you got to take it slowly, make sure you're compliant. Yeah. You don't want to do all this work and then find out, shoot, I can't even sell this stuff. So yeah, that's great advice, Justin. So one last question I had, I just want to touch on Black Dog one last time before we go, is can you share any success stories of companies that have used Black Dog LED?
Yeah.
Maybe they switched from one light to yours, or maybe they just started. Anything at all you can share about just some success stories?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked. We just came from a really, really incredible grow facility out in Oklahoma. And on our YouTube channel, there's actually a 5-minute video that I put together of us out there and the testimonials and those growers really breaking down why they're successful with working with Black Dog, not just our lights, but our service. But they're a great recent case of these guys came to us, didn't really know exactly, they're all pilots, professional pilots. They didn't know exactly what to do. We helped them from the ground up, get their facility going, recommendations for benches, and got their whole grow set up with all Black Dogs from generation, the Phytomax 2s, 3s and 4s. And so they are one of my recent favorite success stories. You know, they're crushing. They have incredible genetics. Their veg just looks remarkable. They've got, you know, just dense, sugary buds, high testing. We're really happy about them, and that's a great success story and a great recent video that's out there really breaking that down.
Well, guys, go check out that video over at the Black Dog LED YouTube channel. And yeah, it sounds like, I mean, to just be able to help people who are originally pilots come into this industry right now. Yeah, I mean, that's just, that statement alone just proves how awesome you guys are. So, Justin, I love working with you guys over at Black Dog LED, and I truly, truly appreciate your time. I learned a lot, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, James. And if you're watching this, hit up Green Thumb Depot. They're great. We love them.